the one thing is like wholesaling, we did it, but I hated every single day of it. The whole like negotiation, you buying data, then you go in, you convert it on both sides with the seller and with the buyer. You're consistently like weaseling your way in to make money. Running a wholesale business on a high scale, making multiple six figures a month, it's a process. So you have to be that perfect sales process, CRM. There's so many different pieces. It's not just like cold calling, making an offer. There's so much to it. We realized that every time we tried to grow, we kind of just hit that bottleneck. We just started spending more to make more, so we ended up making the same. There was always that fear of losing everything. And with wholesale and fix and flip, it was always unpredictable because every month was a new chase, a new hunt. You're going out there, you don't know what you're gonna make next month. And it was stressful. And then construction really is different because you...
Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's episode of Disruptors, where millionaires are made. Today we have Maximilian Vollmer with Vollmer Real Estate Investments. And Max flew in from Tampa to talk about how he's built a $125 million construction portfolio at the age of 27 years old. I don't know which number is more unbelievable, the 125 or the 27. Either way, I'm kind of envious. Guys, I'm on a mission to create millionaires. The information on this show alone is enough to help you become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you'll take consistent action, you will become one. And before we jump in, if you're here to learn how real entrepreneurs are building real empires, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because every week we're dropping lessons that can help you create your first or your next million. And right now you have 100,000, $250,000, maybe more sitting in your CRM. Resurrect all your old and dead leads with the objection-proof AI calling agent. Text CASH to the phone number 33777 to unlock the money that's just hanging out in your CRM. You ready?
Yes, sir.
All right. So we were just looking right before the show. You were here 3 years ago. Right. And we're talking about how you went from your Olympic journey to getting in the wholesale and just having a lot of success right out of the gate.
Yeah.
But you've pivoted your business model. So what's happened these last few years? What's going on in Max's world?
A lot has happened. I mean, the first few wholesales, I think I mentioned that when we first had our interview, we did wholesales to developers back in the days. We just flipped vacant parcels to developers. So we always had that intention to someday end up in ground up construction because we just love the vision of going in, creating something new, something sexy. And construction obviously is one of those things in real estate. It takes a while to get there.
Yeah.
You cannot just do a fix and flip. You can get, lenders. It's easy, but a construction is about the resume component. So we had to somewhere really build that repetition. But I think the most important piece was when we finished college. When I say we, it's me and my wife. We moved to Tampa. And back then, roughly 3 years ago, Tampa was really more of a fix and flip market. It was COVID. Everyone moved to Florida, crazy market. Anyone made money, right? You bought a house and you just did not do anything. You sold the next day for 50,000 more. It was nuts, but it was a fix and flip market. And then with interest rates kind of changing and the whole politics and everything changed, the environment changed significantly, where fix and flips did not move anymore because everyone bought houses 3 years ago at 2%, 3%. And so you're not going to sell that house to buy the same house. No, it's 7% interest rates. So the only real buyer that came into our market were out-of-state buyers. New York, Chicago, Pennsylvania, West Coast. So a lot of people with money because jobs are relocating. And those people obviously need to buy a house because they don't have a house locally. So it was really that out-of-state buyer. And it was really particular because they were really only looking for location. And obviously Florida, a good location is underwater. You want to be near water, ideally, and flood zones, hurricanes, major risk, new construction just really started to pop up. Everyone was looking for new construction. And then things like Helene and Milton just reinforced everything where entire neighborhoods got wiped out. But it doesn't mean like people are not going to start living in those areas. It just means everything is going to be redeveloped. And so as this market kind of shifted, we saw it early on where the city came in, rezoned major areas to higher density, 20, 30 units an acre, townhome developments. We saw a lot of acquisitions from Chicago hedge funds, Miami hedge funds coming in more downtown to build these like high-rise condominium developments. A lot of it is like the Miami style. It's like a half hotel, half condo. So that has been successful in Miami, and they're coming to start doing some of these projects here in Tampa. So when that really shifted, we saw a lot of money coming and a lot of huge acquisitions, a lot of stuff in entitlement. And that's when we made that shift from flips to construction, because essentially we had like this perfect timeline.
When did you make that decision?
That was 2.5 years ago.
So right after.
Yeah, fairly soon after we were here, because that was really when the when it changed. And from us, when we initially did wholesale, we understood how to acquire properties and how to do our due diligence. And when the city changed the zoning, it's not like they post on Instagram and say, hey, your property now is 30 units an acre. So people did not know for the longest time. Realtors had no idea, and homeowners didn't know. And we
That their value of the land their property is on increased in value. They were unaware.
The density changed.
Yeah.
Because the city has a 5-year plan. So when all the activity came in from COVID, the city made changes 5-year, 10-year to allow for more density, for more growth, because obviously that's how they're going to make money too. So that came in. It was not like a public announcement. So we attended all of these like public meetings, city official meetings, zoning meetings to see what's happening. We looked at the future zoning map. And that's when we started acquiring properties before everyone else knew. Those ones tend to be multifamily zone properties in downtown locations. So that's how it all started. Our first property that we ever acquired, actually, we just broke ground. It's been like the longest one out of all of them.
So let's take a step back. Okay, so the market shifted. Did it impact you in the market shift where it was like you felt like you got caught and you're losing money, or you just made the change because you're like, hey, like we've always been interested in developing, let's just get into developing?
Yeah, both. We definitely got caught.
Okay, what happened?
With the fix and flips, I guess we were lucky, but it was not intentionally. It's not like we had a crystal ball. We just really like had a lot of inventory that was completed. And then as we tried to acquire new properties, we saw the market shifting. So there was not necessary inventory we got stuck with. We just saw it was a lot harder for us to acquire properties that made any sense. And then just kind of stepping 2 steps back and looking at our competition and talking to other people that do fix and flips, to then eventually see that everyone is turning them into rentals because nobody's moving them.
So you didn't necessarily get caught with holding on to properties or taking a big loss. It was, you saw that the environment has shifted and you're like, well, I don't know if I still want to play this game.
Yeah. Plus, obviously, like resources. We spent a lot of money in marketing leads. So we wasted money there of not converting them into anything. And then we really just made that shift where we said initially, like, from today to tomorrow, we're like, okay, let's change operations. We let go of a lot of people because it was more of a fix and flip wholesale division. And the one thing is like wholesaling, we did it because it was the easiest way to get started in real estate, but I hated every single day of it.
What did you hate about it?
I just like the whole like negotiation. It's high stress in my opinion because it's like you buying data, you spending money up front to a degree depending on your strategy, and then you go in, you convert it, and it's just like this on both sides with the seller and with the buyer. You're consistently like weaseling your way in to make money, and it is stressful. Yeah, it is.
It's a grind.
It is a major grind. I mean, it makes money. It's a low risk to a degree, right? Because you don't have money out. But it was a grind, and it was not something that we enjoyed. And in my opinion, too, running a wholesale business on a high scale, making multiple 6 figures a month, it's a process. It's a really system, process-oriented business. So you have to be that perfect sales process, CRM. There's so many different pieces. It's not just like cold calling, making an offer. There's so much to it. And we realized that. And we realized that every time we tried to grow, we kind of just hit that bottleneck. We just started spending more to make more. So we ended up making the same. And it was like, why we just keep making more and end up with the same net margin. So like our conversion,
scale more effort in time.
Our conversion wasn't
is
great.
the same.
And what freaked me out the most of, when we started obviously with no money, there was always that fear of losing everything. And with wholesale and fix and flip, it was always unpredictable because every month was a new chase, a new hunt. You're going out there, you don't know what you're going to make next month. Because it depends on what leads you're getting.
Literally don't.
So every month was like a roller coaster and it was stressful. And then construction really is different because you're filling the pipeline. You don't get paid tomorrow. You get paid in 18 months, 24 months, depending on the project. But it's a pipeline. You know it's coming. And so you can eventually start breathing more than like the consistent chase. So you still do the acquisition, but what I've seen in construction is just everything is like 4 steps down. It's a lot more slow pace. These projects take time. When you do permitting, there's not something that you need to do every single day.
Yeah, that's the part that's more stressful for me.
Really?
Yeah, I'd rather be in the grind and the hustle and wholesale because like at least there's something I can do every day.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's something you can do. It's just everything is like stretched.
But the permitting process, waiting for somebody, that is where I really struggle.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, where are we on the permit? Hey, where are we on the permit? Right. So, all right. So you made the decision to pivot and you start saying, all right, we're going to develop something. Did you get money first or did you just acquire first? Did you change your targeting? What's the first thing you had to do to go down this developing route?
Faith. Because we knew nothing about construction at that point.
Mhm.
Never built anything. Understood fix and flips. Obviously, construction is entirely different than fix and flips. We never raised money before because in fix and flips we never needed to.
Mhm.
And so it was really like everything was brand new. We didn't have the labor, we didn't have the workforce internally to convert to construction. So we let go of a lot of people. It was also like we did not want to have our overhead as high. So we literally let go of almost the entire team. It was just me and my wife saying, like, we rebuild everything from ground up, in ground up construction.
Mhm.
And just kind of went out there, looked for lots. We came across this major opportunity initially, which was a land in downtown Sarasota. We acquired it for $1 million and it was worth $2.5 million. It was just the realtor did not list it, had no idea about the zoning. It was zoned for 100 units an acre in
It was
downtown.
zoned for what?
100 units an acre.
Mhm.
So high-rise, high-density development in one of these districts. There was an overlay. You could have gone up to 300 units an acre. And it was initially was half an acre. We acquired a neighbor lot, so it's almost an acre. So we could have done like a 300-unit apartment building.
Mhm.
So major.
So she listed it for something that could go for 100 units, but in reality, you knew with a
No, they didn't even list it for 100 units.
Oh, she listed.
They had nothing. It was just the land. They didn't even know the zoning.
Oh, so she just listed the land. Okay, got it.
So the realtor had no idea about what he was selling. It was just some Google Map pictures. It wasn't even, he didn't even drive out there.
Mhm.
And it was sent to me. And by accident, I was in Sarasota. So I was like, I'm just driving by, checking it out. Had no intention. And then I drove by and I saw it was a 5-story multifamily going vertical next door, which on his pictures was not there because whatever pictures he used, there was just land everywhere.
Google Maps.
Yeah. And I was like, hold up, there's density right here. So I looked up the zoning and I realized, damn, there's a lot of density here. And it was like right before Sarasota started to blow up. If you drive through Sarasota now, it's just one high rise after another.
Yeah.
A lot of money came down there to build these condos. So we acquired that property. And that was like the first journey, essentially. We took it under contract, negotiated with the seller to have an extended closing. So 12 months to close.
12 months.
Yeah.
So you see the property. They don't know what they've got.
Mm-mm.
What was it listed for?
It was 2 parcels listed for 500 each.
500 each. But same seller?
2 different sellers.
2 different sellers. So 500 each.
So initially there was one listed, and then the realtor helped us get in contact with the other owner and say, well, for the same price, they would like to buy yours too.
Yeah.
So he made it work. He got commission on both eventually.
So he's happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you're in for $1 million, but you say it was worth 2.5.
Yep.
As it was pre-development?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
And
So you found the deal. No one else found the deal. You could have paid quite a bit more and the numbers would still work.
That was one of those things. And we had it under contract. We were debating of just wholesaling it or maybe doing some pre-entitlements with some architects, spend 30 grand and then sell a vision, or just going down the path of believing that we can take it down. And, you know, the interesting thing, we took this under contract. We had no resume to even build that. And initially I thought it would take a whole lot faster to get to permits. Now it took me 2.5 years to get there. In the meantime, I've built 30 houses a year. So I have the resume now.
2.5 years?
Yeah.
To get it permitted.
Yeah, which because we started adding more and more lots. So it was initially those 2, and then we added 2 more. So it's like a 24-unit townhome subdivision now. So there was a lot of complexity and just every time you added,
it was attached.
Yeah.
Okay.
We started acquiring the other parcels and kind of made it one subdivision. But because it was that the density itself and the zoning took us down the path of like commercial zoning with the city. And there was a public hearing, school impact analysis, traffic studies. It was all the 9 yards. It's not just like a permit. It took so long to get to like the initial development, the review aspect, to then get into permitting. And that just like that process took way too long. Quite frankly, we had no idea about what we were doing initially.
Well, it was your first one.
Yeah, so it was the first one and probably the hardest one. But everything turned out perfect because when we had it under contract initially with the initial design, we got appraisals done. Back then, it was supposed to sell. And these are just 3-story townhomes, 2,100 square foot, 3-bed, 3.5 bath, 2-car garage, standard with a rooftop. It was supposed to sell for $485 a foot. That was the market back in 2023. Now, we just broke ground. So we just got the construction loan. It appraised at over $1,000 a foot.
But doubled in value.
Doubled in value. Because all the condos nearby are selling for $1,000 a foot. There's nothing you can buy for under $1,000 a foot. And that changes the game now, because like all of a sudden, right, we literally doubled our profit margins without even like doing anything. It's the same product that we designed 2 years ago, and it's just we finally get a permit. The delay that we had caused us to be phase 2 versus all the other developments came in earlier, and they kind of set the price standard. They went at $775, some of the early ones, and then every 2 units they sold, they just went up. And what was really interesting, there was different developers, and they all met, and they all just came up with the same increase in prices. So nobody was below. No, they met on a monthly basis.
No, I know. That's kind of collusion. So we just say,
yeah. So that was it was the same agent too, almost on all of them. This is selling all of this, and I was like, wow, you guys are just making these numbers up. But people were absorbing it. A lot of cash buyers, a lot of New York buyers in Sarasota, and so that was really the one that started. But when we had it in a contract, we first of all knew nothing about it, nor had we any capital. But the deal was right, so it was not hard raising capital for a deal that you buy for $1 million that's worth 2.5.
All right, so let's talk about it. So $1 million. For the 2. You close on it. How fast?
12 months.
So you took 12 months to close on it. So you were already doing other deals in this whole time. Or you're working on this one?
Yeah, I mean, it was the first one we took under contract, and we went hard on just raising money. That was the one thing.
Why 12 months?
That was just what I negotiated with the seller, because it was like a contingency to a certain approval process with the city that we can close it subject to the development review approval. And it took roughly 12 months. So that's why we had like a contract contingency. The seller was not necessarily like in any distress. It was vacant land. So we went back and forth. They initially wanted $450. We offered them $50,000 more and said, hey, we're going to close in 12 months because we're also trying to acquire the next door neighbor. So there was a lot of like moving pieces, because when we had it first under contract, a few months later we acquired the other one. And then we renegotiated with everyone, like, hey, we got to redo everything we just did because we're adding more density to it. So it gave us time because we had no money to close on it. So we took that time to really raise capital, and really, because the project made sense and we worked so hard, this allowed us to then scale to multiple different developments.
So let's take a step back. So then, now that you have it tied up, I imagine you've done your due diligence at this point. So your number one priority is to raise money. How did you raise money? And how much, or I guess step one, do you know how much you have to raise?
Yeah, well, it was the $1 million for the land, $200,000 for entitlement. So we came and raised 1.2. That was the goal for like.
But that doesn't take into account the construction. So that's a different deal.
Yes.
So 1.2. So you went out to go raise 1.2. Stage 1 is go raise 1.2.
Yeah.
How did you do that?
It was really, really hard. I tell you this, because the one thing is, we don't come from money. So our parents had no money. I knew nobody with money, because everyone I knew was like 24, 25 in college, some athletes, where would I go and be like, hey, I need 2 million, 1.2 million, whatever it was, right? So it was really hard initially, and really just by accident. Like the one thing that I've always learned in sports initially is like you got to visualize and believe it and live in it like it's already happening without it being real. So that was really the thing where we just meditated every single day on like people coming in our life, we're closing this deal, and we walked the property, we felt like we're going to take it down. It felt like it's already happening, and things will come in place. And it really just happened. I met a guy in the gym, I wore this Oregon shirt, and he's like, you went to Oregon? I was like, yeah, I went to Oregon. And he's like, yeah, I went there too. So he sold the gym, and he had some extra capital to invest, and he wanted to get in real estate. So it was like the first guy. I was like, oh, I love this. Let's go. You're an athlete too. You're jacked. Let's go. And then he connected us to some people, and it was just like a snowball effect of then like them posting about it because they're excited, and then their friends and family members seeing it. They had the fear of missing out, and it just kind of built this pattern of people that reached out. And then we just really had a lot of people fly into Tampa. We showed them the market. We showed them some other competitive product. But it took a year to raise essentially 1.2 million. It was 26 investors combined. So a lot of $25,000, $50,000 payments, nothing like major. So it took a while. We used that momentum then to expand. So it took us almost a year to raise 1 million, and then it took us another year to raise 20. It just from one to another. It just
so you raised the mill here. Well, you need a 1.2. So you close on it. Now you got to build this thing.
Yeah.
You see, you just broke ground.
We just broke ground.
So you
this last week, yeah.
This is past weekend. 2.5 years later.
Yeah.
What was the holdup from closing on it to be able to break ground?
It wasn't a holdup. It's just that process took really long.
Mhm.
Sarasota is, every municipality is different. And Sarasota was like, you submitted, you waited 2 months for them to respond. And then they don't even give you all the comments. They give you some comments. You make adjustments, resubmit 2 months. And then some comments. So it was a nightmare because they could have just given us all the comments up front, but it was like, no, here's like 10, work with it.
Yeah, here's a question.
a long-
Answer it. Okay, I have a follow-up question. Answer it. Have a follow-up question.
Yeah, it was painful. And then I've been going, it was like 3 or 4 different zoning people that came in. Because as I've done the permit, there was like people just get let go, new people came in, and then they
Just
new
starting
comments.
over.
Yeah, and then like they made comments that somebody else already made. We already adjusted them. So it was a long process, but conceptually, like a project that size, what I've learned now is they take a while. Because it's not just the building complexity of it. In Florida, we have the stormwater retention system, underground water systems. So because all the rain has to go somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's the most complicated thing to design. Because like a building code is a building code. An architect can design based on the code, is really clearly defined, but the underground is not defined. So there's like a million different ways to get it done. So every engineer designs it differently, and then the city sees it differently. So I would say 70% of the time was just back and forth with the underground to defining what's the perfect system that can capture all the water and is up to code. And then with the hurricanes, things changed. They made some modifications. So the state made modifications on how much water has to be captured. So then we had to redesign certain things. So we're kind of like in the loop of everything changing a little bit. But I guess it turned out to be perfect timing, because if you would have finished that last year, it would have been devastating, because last year was really Florida, nothing sold.
Yeah.
It was a tough year.
There's 2 of them for 500 acres for a mill, but you also connected a couple more lots, you said.
Mm-hmm.
So does that all go into the same permitting?
No, there's 3 different permits, but it's one development. So we divided it so we can start with phase 1 and then add phase 2 and then phase 3. So we didn't like connect them.
Okay.
Does it make sense? Yeah.
So now you got to raise money to build this thing.
No, we already have it there.
So it was 1.2. So where do you get the money to like you've broken ground? Like, what are you using to build that?
So we just on this last week we had an equity firm, Plutus Capital, out of Tampa Bay. They put $5.5 million in equity in. So it was the first equity firm that invested with us now. And then we have a construction lender for $12.6 million. So everything in that stage is lined up. Yeah. Okay.
So you got an equity firm to invest, and you got a loan to build this. Those very large numbers.
Yeah.
Stress?
More so excitement.
Excitement?
This one has been, my baby from get-go. It was like the one that we started this journey with. And it's amazing to see. And I always tell people it's so funny. It's the first one that I restarted, but we've already built 30 other projects in the meantime that we took way later under contract.
Yeah.
So we kind of learned a lot to be better where we are right now. We have other town-owned projects now that are about to be done that we acquired way later. And
so how much do you anticipate development costs? Take out what you put into it so far, actual developing this project.
That's a good question. So we have built a similar product in Tampa and St. Pete before. So we are right now at $280 a square foot heated, and we're selling for $1,000 a square foot.
Heated?
Heated, yeah.
What does that mean?
Well, per heated square footage. The way I calculate is obviously like some developers look at it from a total square footage. So meaning you include the garage. I always go heated. So your ratio goes up slightly, but then you can compare with the resale value. Like build it for $200, to sell it for $400, and know kind of what I'm making.
Heated as in like connected to air conditioning?
Yep.
Got it.
Yeah, so $285 a square foot heated.
Okay.
That's why we built those 3-story masonry block impact windows with the rooftop. We're probably going to add another $30, $40 a square foot in finishes, wood flooring, Wolf appliances. We'll have on the rooftop, there's 2 options, either sauna, cold plunge, or a 6-person spa. So we upgraded them slightly to what we do in Tampa and St. Pete, because the market obviously is paying a whole lot more for it. So we're kind of adjusting to that. But
so $285 can be $1,000. You're gonna sell it for. So those margins are pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna be all in construction, hard and soft cost at $12 million. That's the construction loan, which that is conservative. Our current actual loan that we have, we've bitten out the whole project. We had $8.8 million. There's buffers. There's always delays, things that we account for. So we got a $12 million loan, but essentially the $12 million loan covers everything. Plus there's $1 million interest reserve. There's soft cost reimbursement, working capital already packed in. So 12 million is ultimately our highest possible cost. Ideally, will be like between 10 and 11. And then with the equity in, if you're selling them for 25 million, or just appraised for 25 million today's value, I think we're probably going to sell closer to 26, 27.
Yeah.
Because we see everything is getting more expensive. So we're going to do the same thing. We come in with market and then we start increasing our price per unit as we sell them.
Yeah. So for a first baby, it's going to do pretty well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those numbers will work. Besides the permitting nightmare, how long it took? Were there any other lessons you learned there?
Countless. I've learned everything. Patience.
Yeah.
Believing. I mean, this was like one of these projects, right, where we just went in and we had faith because we had no money initially to acquire it. We knew nobody with capital. We knew no GC. We had no resume. Like, we could have not taken this deal down. It was absolutely like, even like taking it down and believing in it was like a white shot of just faith, right? If I would have acquired this property now, I'm like, okay, yeah, we've already had a resume. We have lenders, they know us. Back then, it was just this like faith. And really the learning of like everything coming together by just you believing in it. I mean, there was so many days where I was really frustrated. I was struggling. I was scared of this property not going through because, like you said, we had 1.2 million, but I knew it's going to be one day I get the permit and then I'm going to need a few more million to get a construction loan. Where's the money coming from?
Right.
So we really just believed that it's going to happen and worked our way towards it. And so there was so many learning lessons from just believing in yourself and not being afraid of these bigger projects. Because we could have just gone a single family house, build one, then next year build two, and kind of went this path. But I think it kind of set us up where we came in way bigger than we were supposed to chew, and we just grew with it. We grew with the pressure, we grew with the assignment, and we accepted the challenge, and that really multiplied everything to where it is today.
Okay. So I know we're going to talk about how you did 30 deals in between, but all in all, it sounds like developing is a crazy cash cycle.
Yeah.
An insane cash cycle. So I know wholesaling is stressful for you, but I know if I lock it up, I can get paid in a couple of days.
Yeah.
Like I know if the deal is good enough, I'll get paid in a couple of days.
Yeah.
You don't have that here.
No.
So for you, you feel like it's a stress. The grind is stressful. For me, I love it because we can move really fast.
Yeah.
How do you get mentally comfortable with these crazy long cash cycles?
That's when we started adding smaller deals, like single family developments, because they take 12 months, which for me, that's really fast. For you, that's
Still
probably
really long.
really long. But really, when you think about it, it's the first year and a half that is stressful. Because when you start the first project, you take it under contract, sooner or later you sell it. If you do it correctly, you sell something like every quarter, every 6 months, every year, depending on the size. So once you get through the first sales cycle, then it's easier because then like there's money coming in, there's other projects in the pipeline, and you just keep selling and keep making money. But yeah, the first year was really stressful, and that's where we had to let go of a lot of people, cut our overhead as much as possible, and just went back to the trenches. It was just us working 24 hours a day and going in, doing all the hard work and setting up the system. But we believed that there was, we believed it was the right thing and turned out to be the right thing. But quite frankly, yes, I have some people that work with us that are wholesalers or flippers, and I always recommend them kind of go both directions. Do not give up the wholesaling because it will take you a year or so until you comfortably say, okay, let's close this chapter.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you go in and you just start chewing. Yeah.
All right, so talk to me about the second deal.
The second deal was then really just single family houses. So we had that town on there. We realized, okay, well, we gotta actually, no, the second deal was a 5-unit townhome development in St. Pete, which was a single family house that we bought, and the zoning changed. So there was one of those, we bought that land for 400. It was worth 800 because the zoning was right there. And
the people that are selling have no idea.
No. I mean, that was an interesting story because the lady that owned the property, she was 84 when we first, and it was 3 different streets. There was 65 properties that got rezoned. There was not a whole lot. So when we realized this, there was a hedge fund out of Michigan that came in. They bought a few of those to build 30 townhomes. They were like the first ones that came in. So they were in permitting and not under construction yet. So none of the neighbors really knew what's happening, but we knew about the permitting. So I came in one day there and I literally just knocked every single house. Because there's not that many. I was like, I'm not wasting my time on cold calling or sending a mail. I just go there right away and I close it at that very spot. Because there's not that many, like the beautiful thing in construction is there's not that many possible targets. Because when you look at one zoning, obviously, yes, it was all the same. But zoning equals the land size. So there could be a big house on a small lot that's going to be worth more on appraisal than a small house in a big lot. Mm-hmm. If you're looking at width, street frontage, where can I pack as many units as possible? And oftentimes, right, the house is the same size than the one next door, but I can do 2 units here, 5 units here. I can offer a whole lot more there. Mm. And there was a scenario there that probably, as a fix and flip, probably would have had to acquire it for 260, 265. And that's what the lady initially had offers at 250, 260. So when we came in, she said, oh, I have 5 offers here already. I don't want to sell the property. So we built a relationship with her and we realized that she was really sick. She had 4 or 5 strokes. She was in really bad condition. So we sat down with her, with herself, her care provider, and her kids. We're like, how much money do you need to live the rest of your life? And it took them a few weeks, and they came back. They said, we need $400,000 roughly to cover the next few years of medical expenses and for her to relocate to New York to a senior home. And we're like, okay, we give you guys $400,000 for it, even though there was $140,000 over everyone else's offer. But I knew it was worth it. And I knew we did the right thing. And that was an emotional closing because she was so excited about it. And we always promised her when we closed, we'll bring her a Subway sandwich because she was always talking about it. And it was really devastating because we closed and she passed away 3 days later. Literally, wow. Like we came there to say, thank you and celebrate. Nobody was there. I called her caregiver and he was like, well, she was in the hospital 2 days ago. She came in, another stroke, and she didn't make it. So it was like perfect timing for her. Right? She couldn't even actually enjoy a single cent of it. It just all went to her kids. So it was really sad, but we still did the right thing. We gave her what she needed, and the value was still in the land. We spent less than $100,000 per unit, which is amazing. You don't really get land that cheap in Tampa Bay. So that was the second deal that we took. We basically, a lot of the investors that are invested in the first project also invested in this one because they just loved the market. And there was only a $680,000 raise there. It was slightly less. So we had them come in because that one was more faster. It took half the time to get entitled. It's under construction right now. We have drywall done. So there was a second deal. And from there, we really got momentum because we had 2 really good properties in great locations. Yeah. Huge upside. And then we kind of went to the regular single family path because that's fairly simple. Single families, you go in a good area, you find a distressed property, tear it down and rebuild.
Sure. But what I'm hearing from your first 2 deals that made them great deals was because the sellers didn't know the value of the land. Yep. So you get that margin. Yeah. Right. But also it's you're negotiating with more information than they've got. Going to single family, you lose that advantage.
Yes.
So how do you make up for that?
So single family, you kind of make up for it because it's a shorter timeline. So with single families, we usually have an 18 to 20% margin. So on $1 million house, we make 180, 200,000. We know that for a fact because it's the way we design it. We reverse engineer. On townhomes, you have a different margin. You have 25, 30, 35% because it's economy of scale. A lot of the expenses are shared. Permit expenses are shared. Underground is shared. The land is divided by multiple units. So you make your money there, but it's also less scalable because you got to find the perfect lot and the right zoning and the right location. Everything lines up. So you can't just go in and say, I'm going to buy 10 different lots that I can do townhomes on there because you might only get 1 or 2. Whereas a single family is well, you can find 10 houses. If I need to buy 10 today, I can find 10 somewhere. So that's kind of where we came in to then go, well, single family, we can at least cross the cycle, make money sooner, learn, build a resume, and acquire them as a more essential piece of the learning lesson, less of we want to be single family developers. Yeah. In fact, I would like to not build any single family houses anymore, but it was a really good learning lesson. And we had these markets because the market or the demand came in of people wanting to live in these flooded areas, in these waterfront communities. And so it was a little bit more hard, I would say, before Helene to find good properties at good prices. You really had to dig deep. And then Helene came in and it was like, I mean, anyone was selling it at the price you needed because it changed the market.
And I guess for you, since you're doing tear down, new construction, flood damage is irrelevant.
No, I don't even look at the house ever.
Just like, you could just look at it on Google Maps.
Yeah, I look at the width and the length of the let, and that's all I do.
All that matters.
Oh.
And then you comps.
Yep.
Got it. And so then when hurricane came along, it actually made your job easier.
Yeah, Helene and Hilton really opened up, I think, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity because let's talk about beachfront. You've been to Clearwater Beach, St. Pete Beach.
Pretty nice. Indian Beach.
It is nice, but it's also like 1920 houses, one story. You compare this to Fort Lauderdale, entirely different.
Yeah.
But it's prime beachfront, one of the best beaches in the US. I would argue that our beach is much nicer than Miami. But it was too hard. It was impossible to get in. Because before Helene, you had to buy these houses now for $850, $1 million. Meaning if you're paying $1 million for land, you have to build a $3.5, $4 million house and a minimum to make money. You have to be at 15, 20% of future value. So, but then there's a lot of 1920 houses. You cannot just put a $4 million house in there and hope it's going to sell. Nobody's going to buy that. And that was the issue, right? There was absolutely not a single new construction in all these communities because it was too expensive. Anyone who bought there just bought existing inventory to live in that same house. Helene came, boom, everything changed. But it was not just Helene. It was initially the insurance companies. You've seen it in California where they're making pressure to the cities. They say, if you don't change things, we'll not insure you guys anymore. That pressure came, and then the cities say, for the first time in history, said, okay, this year we're changing things. We're evaluating the damage, and then we're giving you guys a substantial damage later. So if 50% of the depreciated value of the house has been damaged, you have to tear down the building. Versus beforehand, anyone can renovate. You just get your insurance money, you renovate, same house gets put back together. They said, no, if you had more than 50% of damage, which most houses, if it's a 1920 build, the depreciated value is like $100,000. So any one of those has more than 100,000 in damage. So the city says, boom, you cannot do it. To a degree where they even file a lien on the property. So if you try to renovate and sell, the lien would trigger and you can't sell it. And that obviously now took essentially the value of the house away. So everything was just land basis.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of people that had mortgages. Now your house is worth half of what you paid for it. So you had to just get rid of it. And that is what happened. I mean, you go on Zillow right now on the last 6 to 12 months on the coastal side, there's just hundreds of these red dots. Sold properties at 380, just a bunch of sold properties. Because it was a Shark Tank, but everyone came in and we bought waterfront properties for $500,000. They were listed for 1.2 before Helene. 7 days later, we bought the same one for 500.
Yeah.
So and it changes the game because it's predictable now. Forced market appreciation. Right? We've seen it in Fort Myers when the first hurricane 3 or 4 years ago hit there. They've seen the biggest market appreciation in history. Because everyone is coming and building new. So we see now across the board between 400 and 500,000 is what people spend on land infill. Meaning everyone is going to be at least a $2 million house. Otherwise you cannot make money. You can't buy it for 500 to make $1 million house. Flood zone, you have 26-foot pilings, new construction. The code there is high velocity flood zone. It is expensive to build there. So but then you understand of the amount of new builds coming in now. Nicer $2, $3, $4 million house is going to look a whole lot more like Fort Lauderdale. So next 2 or 3 years, you will drive down the same beach and you're in an entirely different area. And values will go up through the roof. Because then anyone who's able to not sell right now distressed and just hold 2 years, they'll come on the other side and it'll be good.
You said once in a lifetime opportunity. How many of those did you buy?
As many as I could. We just closed on 6 on Friday. What is that? Last week, Friday. We keep buying because the stuff is just sitting on market. Even the ones I bought, they were just sitting on market.
They just pencil out really easily. Each one just pencils out.
Yeah, because it's like the funny thing is, people come in and they're like, "Well, this one sold for $380. I'm not going to spend $450 on this." Well, you back 1 year ago, this same house was listed for $1 million. You're still buying it for $450.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he's 70,000 over the guy next door. Everyone is going to build. You just build a nicer house.
Yeah.
So really, the location is is there. And it's the funny thing, right? You see like properties don't, everyone has the same lot size. It's a beautiful thing. They're all identical, 50 by 100. And then there's a house here for 400. There's a house here for 700. Both of them have to be torn down. Why would somebody spend 700? So there's just stuff listed as unreasonable. And then there's others that just price it to sell because everything else is selling for 400.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where it is. We have a really strong buyer's market right now. The market has been slow. It's politics, it's interest rates, there's a lot of things outside of just like the local market. And then the hurricane came in and it really just dropped values. Because like anyone who's now doing an appraisal, those things appraise for nothing because all the comps are like distressed properties.
That's so good. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's hard making the numbers work of like an as-is value because everything is just valued lower. You know, when I came in and bought that waterfront house, I destroyed all my comps because all this time I'm buying it for $500,000. Everyone is like, what the fuck? You know, you're just buying it for them little, but that's what happens. And nobody's buying there just to hold that house because you can't renovate it. So everything is going to be new construction. So we came in strategically. We acquired 8 different properties in Indian Rocks Beach and Reddington Beach because those are the 2 areas that allow for short-term rentals. They've always been short-term rental markets, really high demand short-term rental markets, and have really good data, really good statistics in the long run. We always have demand. Florida has high tourism year-round, but basically every Airbnb got wiped out. So you have demand, no supply. Anyone who's coming back now, new construction is going to capture market share.
Do you find there are other people developing in the same area competing against you, or do you feel like you kind of have this weird monopoly right now?
No, there's others for sure. I mean, there's others across the beaches, right? There's a lot of different developers doing for sale product. For us, we chose those 2 areas for a reason because we can sell it. We can keep it as a rental. We can also sell it to investors to keep it as a rental. I'm not only have to sell it to an end buyer because those areas are really unique. So that's kind of where we took advantage of that. And there's others as well. We just kind of came in. We had our first one under construction, which is supposed to be done in May. And really just made that decision to say, let's scale this up. Let's buy as many of them as we possibly can. Because if we have 8 properties, you have more of a market share than if you have 1. So from a pricing perspective, we can be more aggressive. We can really just make a difference because it's big enough for us to really make a change. So that was the game changer there. And then it was the vision, because my wife, she has a short-term rental design company, so she kind of understood the assignment of if we go in, we go all in. So like the stuff that we build is like prime beachfront location with a pickleball court, golf area, spa, outdoor gym, everything, right? So it's not just a house with beds. It was built and designed to be a perfect trophy asset. And that's really...
Each house has a pickleball court?
Every house has a little different theme. We have one that has a pickleball court. We have the one that we're building right now that's like Tulum, Mexico inspired. The more resort feel. It's that moody, dark, tropical jungle, a lot of tropical landscaping. So that's more the spa. And then we have the fun house with like the pickleball court and the golf. And so it kind of every room, every house has its own design, own theme. And it really just allows for us to kind of capture the market because 4-bedroom has already made $200,000 in Indian Rocks Beach historically, right? But that was just a house with a pool and regular 4 bedrooms. Now coming in, having a house where every room has its own bathroom, one of those things. We have ADU compliance, so we have elevators. You know, everything is built to be a perfect experience. And then obviously the design, the amenities, you have a gym, you have a spa, hot tub, cold plunge. It changes the game. So coming in with those things, I think we're going to be really successful.
So we were saying you started this 2.5 years ago. You just broke ground here. In the meantime, you did between 30 developments. How many developments do you have going on right now?
65.
Yeah, 65 developments going on right now.
Yep.
That's not stressful?
It is. It is. It's full time. You know, we started construction initially to be passive. When you have like 5 or 10 projects, you feel like everything is slow paced. You have that stress of like, well, we're not making money today, but like everything takes a while. You can kind of breathe. There's gaps of like you're not really actively involved in it. And now it's just like 24/7. It's like that's just I have 65 different construction laws, 65 different drawers, different bookkeeping, different invoices, different contractors. So it is a full business at this point.
Yes, it's a full business.
Yeah. So it is stressful.
So 65 different developments. How many doors is that?
65.
65 doors. Okay. So with all that, how are you balancing all of that? Because like for me, I don't know. I never really got big into flipping. I preferred wholesaling, right? So I think flipping, maybe I had like 3 or 4 going at a time, maybe.
Mhm.
And I can't even fathom 65 going at a time.
Yeah.
How do you manage all of that?
It's a lot of 80-20,
Mm.
focusing on the 20% that really matters. There's so much you could possibly do where it's too much to even handle. So like every evening after work, I really sit down and just plan the next day. Like, what is really important tomorrow? What is the 20% that I really need? And then over time learning, obviously that 80% has to be outsourced. You cannot just always push it on the side. It has to be outsourced. So it's the management of people. I think the one thing in construction, unfortunately, is you're dealing with a lot of subcontractors. And believe it or not, a lot of them just do not know how to write an email, know to like respond to a phone call, or just be like there when you need them. It's just they know their trade, but they're the sloppiest people to work with. So it's a babysitting of people every single day. But from a management perspective, it's really just having the right people in place. What I realized is, I'm great in underwriting properties. I'm great in raising capital. I'm great in having the vision. I understand absolutely nothing about construction. Like if you and I will
you understand
nothing. I'm not the guy to change your light bulb.
I'm not going to ask you to swap out the panel.
No, I will be the last one to do it. It's just.
Can you replace the toilet?
No,
nothing.
And that's really what I realized. I was like, I have no idea about construction, so I need to put people in place to understand it. I understand financing, understand numbers, understand the things about the construction, but the subcontractor trades, how things fade in, walking a property and calling something out. Me, it all looks the same. And then my superintendent is like, "This is all built wrong." I'm like, "Oh,
this is why I was not a great flipper." Because like on the final walkthrough, it's like, all right, like I walked through, I was like, okay, that looks fine. That was the extent.
Yeah.
Why I was so horrible at it.
But you get good at what you do, and then you outsource people that are better than you and the other things.
I outsourced all of it.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I was an unreliable person to do a final walkthrough.
Yeah.
Figured that out pretty quickly.
Yep.
Okay. So I guess it's 3 years ago, right? Like, that you were here talking about, your adventures in wholesaling.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people right now are wholesaling. In fact, a lot of people right now that are watching that have been wholesaling might be going through some difficulties wholesaling or flipping.
Mm-hmm.
So what have you learned in this journey? Because $125 million in projects, lot on the line here.
Yeah.
What have you learned along the way that you wish you could give to your younger version of you, who's really young, the younger version of you, who's hustling with wholesaling? If you're a real estate investor with a sales team and you're stuck babysitting reps instead of growing your business, this is for you. Right now, your reps are burning through your expensive leads like they're practice dummies. They're making costly mistakes you won't catch for weeks, and 70% of your potential revenue is walking to competitors because of inconsistent follow-up. That's why over 130 operators are now using objectionproof.ai to automatically review every single call within minutes, train reps with AI roleplay sessions, and never miss another follow-up. Stop watching your competitors pull ahead while you're trapped doing manager work. Click the link in the description and book a call with my team to see how we can help you install a self-managing sales team this week.
Wholesale. I mean, see, the thing is, I still have done wholesale last year. I wholesaled 6 or 7 properties. I made $885,000.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just deals that I had no money to take down myself, so I sold them. But the thing is, when you're a wholesaler, and I've done this wrong initially too, is you're like 8 different markets. You're everywhere. You're like just buying the same data everyone buys, and you just hope for somebody to buy. You don't actually go and learn about your market and be a true expert. And that changes the game. Like when you're in a market and you really understand what is happening, what businesses are relocating here, what major developments are happening here, and how can I make this work to make money? Because the deals that I've sold, there was a deal, as an example, I took on a contract for $300K. I realized there was a hedge fund out of Miami that bought the lot next door for $14.6 million, building a 450-unit luxury condominium on there. Well, I just bought that for $300, had it under contract for a few months, sold it for $475, because then the vision was there. It's like, well, here's the renderings, here's the approved plans, here's the newspaper articles. So it's a lot easier to sell. But also like when you do like a specific wholesale, the way I do it is like I sell the vision. And because I would have taken it down regardless. So I showed them like, here's the comms, here's a floor plan of a house that I would have put on there. Oftentimes I've already built the house. So it's just like, this is the floor plan. Here's the exact cost. Here's the appraisals. Here's the profit margin. So the performance, here's your land, here's your soft cost, here's your hard cost. Here's what you're going to sell it for. Here's how much money you make. And that's where oftentimes I took properties under contract on the MLS, contract for 600, sold it for 750 next day. And they saw I made 150,000, but they're also still going to make 800,000 in the back end.
Yeah.
So for them, it's like, well, I still make a lot of money as long as the ratios work. For us, it's usually 100% return, right? You got to put $400,000 in, take a construction loan. You want to make 400,000 in the back end too. So it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So as long as you can provide that, and when you really understand it as a wholesaler, you're super valuable, because in markets like Tampa, where there's a lot of development, developers and construction companies do not have an acquisition arm. They know what to build. And when they sell, they're at the mercy of wholesalers giving them deals. Because then they're like, well, what's next? Let's go out there and look. Because they don't look all the time, but they look when they need it. So that's what I've learned is when I come in, then obviously I have the repetition as a developer myself, but even other wholesalers that I've taught that, they come in and they're like really selling their vision. They're using our floor plans, they're using our designs. You can consult with other developers to get an understanding how much it will cost to build a certain house. And just having that vision, because you're not taking numbers from nowhere. These are legit numbers. So you're selling this to somebody, you can make a lot more money. Because we made a lot of wholesales. We made 5K, 10K. It's a lot of like small numbers. You're just trying to flip the contract really quick. But when you go back and really study your market and identify opportunities where you can make 6 figures on a single sale, you don't have to do 100 wholesales. You can make 5 work and you still make plenty of money.
Yeah.
You don't have the marketing. You don't need the sales team. You don't need the closers, acquisition team, all that to really operate on a high level. It can just be you doing the diligence, knowing the market really, really well, and identifying those properties. Oftentimes, like I said, zoning, where you get a single family on a contract that's zoned 5 units. You can sell this to a developer making a lot of money right away because you saw the vision, you understand the zoning, and somebody's going to love it.
All right.
Right.
So what I'm hearing is 2 different things. A, instead of being a lot of markets, going deep in your market, becoming the expert in your market.
Yep.
I heard that. And that's not necessarily newer information. It's not said a lot. Incredibly value, and it's easy to overlook. For me, the bigger thing is that, A, you guys go to hearings, you go to zonings, you're paying attention to what is readily available, but you can't just pull a list for. Right? You just go to 10. It's like, what are they saying? What is the city saying they want to see in their city? And how can you be the professional? You as the professional, go create the product that the city wants. Right? So that's one part. The other part is they can't beat you down on your price because you're like, here's the cost, right? Here is, you said soft cost, hard cost. Here's the vision. Here's what it would cost with my contractors. By the way, here are my the people I know with money, right? Here's access to capital. So you're providing the property, the vision, the cost,
the concept, the whole
concept, the labor material or the labor access to labor and access to capital. Really, like anyone can do it. Like you're just, as long as they have the money, they can use all of Max's info, knowledge, and connections and go make way more money. So if I got $400,000, I don't need to know a lot. As long as I know Max, I can turn that 400 into 800 is what I'm hearing.
I mean,
is that accurate?
I would say so. I mean,
so
there's definitely developers I've sold properties to, and they literally built the same house that I showed them. Because they love the concept. They brought this to the architect, the design, and now they're under construction with the same house. But I gave him the vision of what can be done and the numbers. So now, of course, there's a margin of error. Like if their subcontractors are more expensive, that's for them to negotiate. Ultimately, in my opinion, I always offer to build them as well because I'm like, well, it costs $800 to build. I can build it for $800. If you can do it cheaper, go ahead. But
you're also offering your contracting services.
that's what I offer too. It's a little bit of a bonus. I would say not often people use it because most of the time they're GCs or developers themselves. But when you offer it, either when you partner with a GC, so let's say somebody is a wholesaler in Tampa, they partner with us, they find a deal, I give them the price, I give them the due diligence. They can go now to you and say, well, here's the numbers. This is based on Max. He can also build it for you. These are real numbers. If these numbers work and you cannot make it work with another GC, well, at least he can guarantee that price.
Yeah. So you can't swing a hammer. How do you go from not being able to swing a hammer to knowing all this information, this confidence?
You learn by doing it,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you said, we attended these city meetings. I know more about the zoning in Tampa than probably most architects. I always go to the architect and like educate him on some things because I've read every single code of the areas that I'm working in, right? I've been to these city meetings. I've talked to the city officials. I've talked to the mayors. You'd be surprised how appreciated they are of just a developer asking like, what do you guys want me to do?
Mm-hmm.
Where do you see Tampa or St. Pete in 5 years? What is it that we can do? And they love it. They're like, well, here's the areas that we like to do. Here's the zoning we change. Here's some of the major developments that come in. Everything is public information. There's no like, it's not hidden.
They want to hear from you.
They do love that. Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then, once you kind of go down this rabbit hole, once everything's public, right? Once a big hedge fund comes in and pull a permit, you can go in and pull the data that the permit and see exactly what they're building, where they are in the process.
You can see what they're getting approved.
Yeah. Yeah. So you study and you get good at that portion, right? Construction now, that knowledge is different. You got to build and learn. Now I've built houses. I've seen it all to a degree. So I've learned it now. But the first few ones, I was kind of at the mercy of the, initially we hired GCs to build for us. And then I realized I couldn't make enough money because they got to get paid. They got to be paid and they do not negotiate their prices.
Yeah.
Because like as a GC, you charge 10, 20, 15%, whatever it is on top of cost. So you're not going to reduce your cost. But that was the thing when we first started. We had GCs working and it was just like the numbers were slim. So eventually I went on site. I was there every single day talking to the subs. I wanted to learn what's happening. I was a student of my own work. But you talk to the subs, you understand the process, you talk to the superintendent, and eventually you ask the subcontractor, could you do that for less? If they give you 5 more. And they're like, yeah, I can do it for less. And then that was where I realized, okay, why don't I just go and negotiate with every single sub to get a better price point and build my own construction company? And then we did. We just hired a GC, somebody with a license, who is obviously the construction manager. He has the experience, not me. He's the one overseeing the superintendents and the project managers that are on site every single day. And they also have construction experience, obviously.
Yeah.
So it goes down this path. But yeah, we started to build that construction company now after we've seen it with other GCs and we've seen the things that we could do better at scale and just negotiate with our subs, buy material directly from the source. You're cutting the middlemen, you're cutting the margins. You can make it slim and make it profitable and effective.
So again, 3 years ago, we met through Collective Genius, right? And you're primarily wholesaling. Now that you've gone down this road and you wear a different hat, what are all the different companies you started to maximize this venture?
What do you mean?
You got a general contractor, a developer, you're raising capital.
Right now in the current, well, there's the development firm and then the construction firm. They always go hand in hand.
So there's 2 different. So what's the difference? And this might be completely ignorant. Difference between development firm and a construction firm.
The construction firm has a GC license. It has the employees. It has the warranties, insurances, everything needed. Because at least in Florida and California, it's different than most other states. You cannot just, in Texas, anyone can build. In Florida, because of the building code, you have to have a certain GC license. You got to buy insurances. It's a process. So there has to be a company that has everything in place. Because if you build something and there's issues in 2 years, warranty claims, right? So there's that vehicle there. But you want to keep that separate from your development firm, because the development firm now, if that's having $100 million under construction, if one of those apples goes sideways, it takes everything down. So from a liability perspective, right? The developer, which is me, hires me as a GC. It's just 2 different companies. I have a contract in place.
So one developer can have multiple contracts with all the different. They're all your contracting companies, but one development.
Well, it's one construction company that acts as a GC Then it's the development company that owns the single purpose entities that do the project. So every project is in its own entity. So, but it's like that way of development firm, single purpose entity, contract to GC, and then the fund coming from above funding cross down the path, right? So that's really the structure. Now we have obviously like 60 of these entities.
Right.
They're all owned by the same holding company, by the same trust, but that's really it. So it's the development firm doesn't have any labor in there. It's just me. The construction company has all the labor, all the overhead. The construction company also makes no profit. It's just it breaks even every year because the profit passes through to the development firm, right? So I really just cover my expenses there.
So is that cost?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a cost. And then we tried to go direction of building a sales team internally to sell. I realized, you save whatever 2.5%, 3% commission, but selling these assets is a lot of work too. So we started to kind of slow that down and hiring like strategic realtors to list our properties. So that one is outsourced. And then we have the design component in-house, which goes more through my wife's design business. Obviously, her design business is more like all-out focused short-term rentals, but she does a lot of the specifications, pre-design, because it's rinse and repeat. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel every single time. We design specifications that work for different price categories, and then we reuse them, might make some modifications depending on location and price point, but conceptually, it's always like the same thing that works, that people appreciate. You get feedback from the things that we build, sell. We talk to the buyers afterwards. What do you like? What do you don't like? What could we do better? And we really built this out this way. But in terms of like the construction side itself, we're outsourcing a lot. We have the subcontractors. I don't have a shell company in-house. We outsource all of this. We outsource the architects. We outsource the designers in-house. We outsource the sales. So we really just have a permitting division, a big finance division, because there's way too many construction loans. So all the draws, bookkeeping is a lot of work. And then we have the construction management side. So the construction manager plus superintendents. Every 5 single-family houses is 1 superintendent. If the project is Sarasota is bigger, there's 2 project managers on site for 1 single project, and they're every day on site, right? So that's really the core of it. Everything else, painters, subcontractors, you outsource that. You have master agreements with them. Architects and whatnot, you have agreements with them, so you don't have that in-house. So you can be fairly passive.
Was there also a capital firm or no?
No, we started to raise money on a per project basis.
I see.
So it was every single project was a 506B syndication because we did a lot of accredited and non-accredited investors. So it was more on a per project basis. And then now we're kind of transitioning that more into like a fund, right? There's the money sitting here and we diversify, and then there's various sales that feed into the overall project. But so there's not a capital firm. It was just like initially the raising capital and then restructuring that more to a fund now internally so we can reuse it. We have a 96.4% retention rate of investors reinvesting. So that's where we work with them. We sell something, we build a fund structure for them to reinvest, and now they're diversified into various different assets versus just one house that we build and sell.
Gotcha. Okay. And then is it Caitlin? She's very involved. Yep. She can't be here because she's doing more important things, right? Because last time it was both of you guys were here.
Yeah.
But right now, she's got more important responsibilities at the moment.
Yeah.
Right. But this is a 2-person company. This is not Max did all this.
When we first came here 3 years ago, it was me and Katie, and because we started, it was just us. But we realized like Caitlin does not like a lot of the things in real estate. She doesn't like sales. She doesn't like the confrontation. She doesn't like negotiations. She hates numbers. She's creative. She loves design. She loves working with people where she doesn't have to negotiate. So employee-based, subcontractor-based. So it took us a while to understand of what is like the perfect path for us to work together. Because initially we came in like a 50-50, you do 10 cold calls, I do 10 cold calls. And there was a lot of like bumping because like she didn't like it. I didn't like it. So right now, I would say we're more focused on what we love doing. So she's not too involved in like the construction, fundraising and all this. This is really me. She's running her own thing. She's running the design. She does the specs. And I stay away from this because I don't want to be involved in designing it. So
no?
we have our own... No, because if I design it, it ain't looking that good. Trust me. You don't want me to design it. So she does that. And then, of course, she's taking care of her baby, which is like the highest priority for us.
Right.
It's like she's a full-time mom. She's a stay-at-home mom. And just giving me the emotional support to run the company. And, when I'm stressed out, I got to bounce back ideas. I go to her. She sees it from within, but still from outside to a degree because she's not in the day-to-day as much.
As part of that vision that you're selling the deals, is she involved in that vision and like what it's going to look like?
Yeah. So I basically design the conceptual architectural layout, and then she designs the specifications, exterior, interior design. She's responsible for that. And then she's also kind of overseeing the sales aspect. So she's working with the realtors. She's creating the marketing, social media ads, and whatever we need to promote the for sale product.
The softer touch
Yes.
to what
Exactly.
you do.
Yeah.
You're probably more brute force.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. So, I mean, it's an incredible adventure. So, like, huge transition. So, like, I mean, what do you see now for the rest of 2026?
Well, 2026 really is we're going to finish that pipeline. We have a lot to chew. The challenging thing this year is going to be within the active inventory, but also keep building the pipeline for 27, 28, 29. So we have to acquire more properties, start more permitting. So that is going to be really a challenge. I think, the goal is to double 250 million by 2027. So by the 27, essentially this entire portfolio is done and sold. Then 27, we like to have 250 million under construction.
This one's sold.
Yeah.
And then another 250.
Yep.
And like the margins on this, like, these are big numbers. Just gonna throw around these big numbers here.
Yep.
Right. But like if you do 125, like between like there's money you put into it on the properties, right? There's the cost and everything else. You got to pay back the investors, right? Like what do you like typically clear on development?
On average, it's 20%.
20%.
Yeah.
So the goal is to clear 20% on these developments. Is that like a hard and fast rule? Like generally speaking, if you get into development, like you want to shoot for 20%?
No. We really went by building their own GC company, we are able to do 20%. Beforehand, it was more like a 5 to 11% if you're lucky. You're kind of at the mercy of their costs. Now we're cutting a lot of the expenses and reducing a lot of our costs. So we're operating at a 20% margin. And essentially when we underwrite deals, we don't take it down if we cannot make at least 20%. And we always inflate our construction cost and we always deflate our resale value. So we're always conservative. Because oftentimes is, decrease our values, we oftentimes sell for less because we sell pre-construction, like 9 months out of completion. Somebody comes in and say, hey, I give you $50,000 less, but I'm buying it today. I'll take it because at this point I just finished the project for you. Yeah, I made less. So we already factored it in because 95% of our homes we sell pre-construction. So we give them discounts, we factor this in, and then it's a lot easier project. But we don't take them down if we don't have that conservative margin in there. And then there's project like this one in Sarasota where it goes the other way and we're making 45, 50% margins on this. So that's really where the sweet spot is at. 18, 20% for single family, 25, 28% for townhomes. And then, $2.5, $3 million and up of a house, you see a different margin because there's a little bit of economy of scale. It's like a waterfront house for $4 million. You'll have a 25 to 28% margin. So similar to townhomes. So I guess across the board, 20% is very conservative.
Yeah. Because
Sarasota is making up like 55 million of that. And yeah, it's 25 million in profit already right there. So, but we don't really, our underwriting is 20%, and that's what we assume. Everything more, we're happy, but this is kind of like what we plan on making next steps. It's
you won't do it unless it's 20%.
Yeah.
Because like, our flipper friends in California, right, in San Francisco, where, everything's over $1 million, like I won't do a flip unless I can make 100,000.
Yep.
Right. So if it's not going to clear me 100,000 net, because I require that buffer, I don't even want to look at it.
Exactly.
That's kind of what you're saying. If I don't see a path to 20%, and that's 20% based off conservative assumptions, I don't even want to touch it.
Yep.
So if it's like 18%, there's no like, maybe we can make this work.
18% is our low margin, right? 18 to 20. That's where we are. So like 17, 16%, probably not.
Yeah.
18% will do.
So something I've seen in the past, and this is just my own empirical data. Not done a lot of development that looked into development. From my empirical data, what we see with developers is like they do really well, they do really well, they do really well, and they're always putting it. They're always playing with house money. Or not playing with house money. They're always like putting it back in, putting it back in, right? And they never really take their chips off the table.
Yeah.
And so like they always do really well, and downturn, and they lose everything. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
What are you doing to make sure that doesn't happen?
That's a good question. So there's a lot of money you make in construction. One thing is also from a tax perspective, it's considered inventory. So you cannot attend to an exchange. There's really nothing you can do to avoid your taxes other than taking your money off, taking your chips off the table and buying existing assets, existing short-term rentals, existing multifamily. So that's what we do is essentially take a big chunk of our money, put it back into existing cash flowing assets. So the money sits there. We can do the 100% bonus depreciation and build a portfolio here where that income itself covers our basis. So if there's another slowdown and we don't build for 2 years, the cash flow from existing assets, rental assets in good locations, is going to make us sustain. That's really the main strategy that we do there. And then, of course, we underwrite it to a degree where there's always an exit of like, we can keep it as a rental. What is our plan B? Some of the houses, because when we build them at cost, we only have to pay off the construction norms, like 55, 60% of value. I can always refi and someone make it work as a rental. To a degree, once they get too expensive of a house, it doesn't work. So that you have a little bit of a risk. But really, the thing is with construction, you put the really perfect nail to the head there. Is you have to plan almost like 2 years out. You underwrite today of what it's going to be in 2 years. And that's where we got lucky. Essentially, we had not a whole lot of inventory for sale last year. Because last year was one of those years it was just slow. And I've seen other developers just reducing their price more over and over again, and nobody was buying it because of politics. It was just a crazy environment. But like 2 years ago, you did not know like, oh yeah, the market is going to be completely flat. So you have that kind of playing the monopoly game, right, long term. What I like about it, where we are right now, is the market is transitioning. We had this super high, at least in Florida. Values have gone through the roof, and then it kind of stabilized for a few years, and then it kind of dipped last year. It was super slow. Now market activity is coming back, so you could argue that probably 26 is a transitional year, 27 and beyond will probably be the next real estate cycle. So you have another 4 or 5 years. You have to plan it accordingly, where you've probably 2 full cycles of construction where you can go more risky, and then you got a plan of that downturn again. So you got to make strategic moves of, am I going to buy something or am I going to wait a little bit? So that's where you just have to really be a student to your market.
Yeah.
Understanding your market, understanding what's happening. And then real estate is location driven. Location, right? If you buy in the right location, you can always come back as a winner somewhere on the back end. 1 year, 5 years, however long it takes. But a good location, values are going to somewhat come back to it.
Yeah. And then there's something along the way where you're saying that you're looking for more inventory. So do you take inventory from other people as well? Like, do you have other people bringing you deals? How do you make up for the shortage? Like, you can't find all the properties, can you?
I'd say I do most of the acquisition myself.
Okay.
Because like you said, that's the one thing where you can break your business by buying something you shouldn't buy. So everything I buy, I've thought about for a long time. I've looked at it from 10 different perspectives. When I first acquired townhomes, as an example, I've called every single listing and buyer's agent in the last 360 years that sold some sort of a competitor to me. I asked who bought it, why did they buy it, what's the buyer's avatar, what did they like about it. Then some recent sales I even went to, I knocked. I'm like, hey, I saw you just moved in here 2 months ago. What do you think about it?
You go and knock on those?
Yeah. And I get my research because like when you try to, as a developer going in, you're visionary. You're building something in the future that somebody needs to appreciate. So I have my personal taste of things I like, but I need to understand who's buying this area and why, and who's like the demographic, who's the buyer's avatar. So that's the one thing I've always done is I really talk to the people. I talk to realtors, I talk to buyers, I talk to the community, I talk to the neighbors. And this is how you learn of what type of product is really appreciated here. Or, there's a big difference if it's an area where the people with kids come in, they like to have their master bedroom on the same level than the kids' bathrooms. bedrooms, right? Because you don't want to like go up and down the stairs if you have a newborn. But if it's more area with older folks, they like to have the master bedroom with a second floor and then all the guest bedrooms upstairs. So those are the things, if you design it wrong, it could be like a cool house, but then your buyer avatar doesn't like it, doesn't appreciate it. You know, do they like an elevator or not? Do they like a movie theater? There's certain things in certain areas we've seen. So really going back to studying your market and being really proactive. So I'm extremely careful in our acquisitions. I do a lot of due diligence, and it's always a strategic play. Understand what's happening. I know I pull permits nearby. I see who else is building. I see what type of product that they're building. So I can come in and compete by either being a better quality, a better layout, bigger, better view, whatever it might be, right? So you really have to understand, because like when you just buy blindly and then 2 months later you see, oh, these guys are building 30 units next door and they're way cheaper than you, and you just blew out, right? So it's really, you got to be careful with that. But you get the hang of it, and you get to kind of build the routine of like, okay, this is a thing I need to look for. And due diligence is key. Due diligence and raising capital, those are the two things I do not outsource internally, because it's my responsibility. If I fuck up, there was a me. But everything else you can outsource. And I always recommend people too, because that was one of the things in our wholesale business. When we tried to scale that, we brought people in that did the underwriting and the acquisitions, and we kind of took the executive side out of it. And all of a sudden we had 70 properties under contract, and they were all overpriced. And it was just like, obviously there could have been a way to get it done better, hire better people, train them better. But we really learned there, there's some things you need to stay in. And at least for me, I love due diligence. Like, there's one of those things, you just Excel sheets, you're building it all on paper, and the vision comes, late at night, you're sitting there and you're doing it all. So that's what I appreciate, and that's what I do. And that's probably the most important thing.
But you also partner with people. How does that work?
So last year, January, we started essentially like a partnership program locally. The reason for that was kind of cash flow reasons, right? Because you have the GC firm with a lot of labor. And if I'm only building for myself, I have to somehow pay them all the time. And the goal is always to build as cost effective as possible, have a really low construction loans. Like whenever something happens, in the worst case, we always just break even. Right? So keep your costs down. Now you have 40 people on staff with W-2 salaries. How are you going to pay for all this all the time?
40?
Yeah. So we ended up opening up the GC division to clients. So we're building for clients for cash flow reasons, because we know how to build. Our prices are really good and competitive. So cost plus 20, we can build some houses for people. We came in initially, there was like 25 clients that reached out to us from just seeing our properties. We didn't even do marketing, so we ended up building for them. But it's like when we build for them, we build a house, and then in 12, 18 months, they live in it, and they will not call us back to build another house, most likely. So that's where my idea came in. It's like, why don't I go and build like a partnership program? I find real estate investors, they want to go into development. I teach them everything I do and help them to do 5 deals a year. Because I could do 5 people, 5 deals a year. That's 25 deals. That's all I really need. It's rinse and repeat. I don't have to go and like find another client and do the whole like custom. The wife has one opinion, the husband has a different opinion. It's more developer. They think like me because I told them how to think about the structure, and we rinse and repeat. So it's for them to make money. So the only thing really they do is they have to find their own private capital. It's the only thing, or at least they have to find the leads. I can help them close. They're private equity investors, but we do the acquisition, underwriting, we do the permitting process in-house, the design, construction management, sales, and I even come in as a loan guarantor, because in construction you cannot guarantee a loan until you have done at least 5 single houses or 5 projects in the last 18 months. So that's what we offer them, is like we're fully committed to your success. I'm on the hook for it, but I'm also building it all. So like if something goes sideways, it was my fault. So I'm willing to take that step. And the developer is making money, we are making money, everyone is making money, and ideally the investors reinvest so they can build that portfolio like we do. And then we have a few of them that come in and start scaling. And then it's like we already have a relationship to them. We already know them. We can rinse and repeat and really build long-term on the GC side, at least. We can capture our expenses, so then it benefits me on my developments too.
Gotcha. What do you think about some last thoughts you want to leave all the listeners with? Guys, if you got value today, please make sure you subscribe, comment, share this with someone that needs to hear this. I learned a lot today about developing. What are some last thoughts you'd like to leave all the listeners with in regards to your journey in the last few years?
Believe in yourself and be your future self. I think everything, I've gone through so many hardships too, because we grew quickly. We came out of college with no background, so we did so many things wrong, because how would you know how to train people? How would you know how to be a leader? You don't learn this in school. So we did so many things wrong. So really important is to be around like-minded people and always find a mentor. There's always somebody doing it twice as good, 4 times as good, and just ask them to for feedback, for dinner. You learn so much. So your network is your net worth. But then also the one thing is what I learned is you need to really build out a plan of not just this month or a year, 50 years. Where do you want to be in 50 years? Where do you want to be in 20, 10, 5, 1 year? Really building out, taking a whole weekend. We did that a few years back, building everything out of where we want to be. And then basically I'm writing myself like a story every year. In December, so this December I wrote one of 2027, me writing back to my younger version of all the things I've accomplished. But it's written in present tense. So every time I read it, it already happened.
Mm-hmm.
So you read this every single morning. The things it's just everything is going to come in place. And it's what I've learned over the last, in sports initially, but now in real estate too, is when it's here, that's all it really takes. It's like the visualization, the belief in it, because you start any real estate venture, you don't know how to get there.
No.
So you don't have all the people, all the things lined up. It's scary. It's always scary. It's big numbers. It's risk. And you kind of just believe. But the more you fade away from it being possible, the more you create negativity. So the more you stay on track of mentally, and the more you also have that vision of where I need to be in the next year, 5, 10 years, the more you focus on that 20% that matters. Wasting a lot of time on the 80%, you really just nail down, because every morning you kind of set the standard of, I know this is what I'm going to have to accomplish. And it's crazy because we did that 2 years ago, and everything on this list we've accomplished.
Yeah.
We actually overperformed. The dream cars, the dream house, the scalability of a company. I put numbers in there where 2 years ago when we looked at this, I was like, I'm not going to be $100 million in construction. Holy moly, how are we going to get there? And now it's we're looking for 250. And it was we already lived that. The dream cars, we bought the Lambos and all the fun things that was on the vision board, literally the exact color, the same spec. And it was in there in 2027, I'm going to drive this car, and I already have it. Yeah. But it's the energy. And I think that's really the most important thing I can give back to anyone is it all starts within. It's the energy. Anything is possible as long as you can believe in it. And you will see that all little things will kind of come and play. And God has his path, or the universe has his path. As long as you do good by yourself and by your mindset, you will get there.
Yeah. Someone wants to connect with you. What's the best way for them to connect with you?
Probably Instagram. Instagram is the easiest way. We're trying to be more active there. We're posting a lot. It's just Max_Vollmer. And shoot me a DM, and I'm happy to help.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Of course.
Appreciate it.
Steve. Thanks for having me.
Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you guys next time.
Jump on the Steve train. Disruptors.